Marcus wiped down the last table at Romano's diner, his shoulders aching from the double shift. At 38, the former high school teacher had learned that pride meant nothing when your daughter needed braces and your rent was 2 weeks overdue. His son, 16-year-old David, was waiting at home, probably doing homework at the kitchen table like he did every night. "Marcus, you can head out," his manager called. "See you tomorrow." The parking lot was nearly empty under the flickering streetlights. Marcus headed toward his old sedan when he noticed her. A girl, maybe 14, in a wheelchair near the dumpsters. Even from a distance he could see she was in distress. He approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. She wore a school uniform, but it was disheveled. Her blonde hair hung in tangles around her face. When she saw him, her hands moved frantically. Sign language. Marcus felt his heart drop. He knew basic signs, had learned them years ago when he taught a deaf student. But this girl was signing so fast, so desperately, he could barely keep up. He knelt beside her wheelchair, making sure she could see his face clearly. With slow, deliberate movements, he signed, "Slow down, I want to help." Her eyes filled with tears. She began again, more carefully this time. Her name was Sophie. She'd been left there 3 hours ago. The care facility van had dropped her off for a doctor's appointment at the medical building next door, but the office had been closed. The driver never came back. Marcus felt anger rise in his throat. He pulled out his phone, but Sophie's hand shot out, grabbing his wrist. She shook her head violently, then signed something that made his blood run cold. "They always come back. They always punish me." She was terrified, not just scared, absolutely terrified. Her hands trembled as she signed more. The facility was bad. The night staff hurt them. The day staff looked away. She couldn't scream, couldn't call for help. No one listened to. The kids who couldn't speak. Marcus thought of David at home, safe and warm. He thought about walking away, calling the facility, letting them handle it. That would be the smart thing, the safe thing. Getting involved in something like this could bring trouble he couldn't afford. But Sophie's eyes held his, pleading, desperate. Those eyes that had seen things no child should see. He made his decision. "You're coming home with me tonight," he signed. "Tomorrow we figure out the rest, but tonight you're safe." Sophie's face crumbled. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed silently, her thin shoulders shaking. Marcus carefully lifted her from the wheelchair, folded it, and put both in his car. She weighed almost nothing. David was still awake when they arrived. His eyes went wide. "Dad?" "This is Sophie," Marcus said, signing as he spoke. "She needs our help. Can you set up the guest room?" To his credit, David didn't ask questions. He just nodded and disappeared down the hall. That's the kind of kid he was, the kind who understood that sometimes you help first and ask questions later. Marcus made Sophie tea, while David prepared the room. She sat at their small kitchen table, looking around like she'd never seen a normal home before. When Marcus set the mug in front of her, she stared at it, then at him, confused. He signed, "It's yours. You're allowed to have it." She cried again, silently. That night, Marcus barely slept. He researched disabled children's facilities, abuse reporting, legal obligations. At 3 a.m, he sent an email to someone he never thought he'd contact again, his old college roommate, James, who'd become a lawyer specializing in disability rights. The response came at 6 a.m. "I'm on my way." By 8 o'clock, James sat in Marcus's living room, taking Sophie's statement through an interpreter he'd brought. The story that emerged made Marcus sick. Years of neglect, abuse, isolation. Kids who couldn't speak, couldn't walk, couldn't fight back. Staff who knew they could get away with anything. "This is going to be big," James said quietly, "and ugly. Marcus, are you prepared for this?" Marcus looked at Sophie, who sat with David in the kitchen. His son was teaching her a card game, both of them laughing without sound. She looked like a different person than the terrified girl he'd found 12 hours ago. "I'm prepared," Marcus said. The next weeks were chaos. James filed emergency custody papers and abuse reports. The facility denied everything. But then something unexpected happened. Other families came forward, parents who'd suspected but been too afraid to speak up, staff members who'd witnessed abuse but stayed silent out of fear. Sophie's case broke it all open. The investigation made national news. Marcus's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, lawyers, advocates. He took leave from the diner. Money got tight. The rent got tighter. But every morning Sophie smiled at him across the breakfast table and he knew he'd made the right choice. Then, on a Tuesday morning, a black SUV pulled up outside his house. A woman in her 50s stepped out, impeccably dressed, with kind eyes and Sophie's exact smile. "Mr. Marcus Hayes?" she asked at the door. "Yes, I'm Catherine Wells. Sophie is my daughter." Marcus felt the world tilt, but the facility said... "The facility lied," Catherine said, her voice breaking. "I've been searching for her for 9 months. My ex-husband had custody. He put her in that place and told me she'd run away. I've been following every lead, checking every facility. Then I saw the news. She was crying now. You saved my daughter's life. You gave her hope when she had none. You risked everything for a child you didn't know." Sophie appeared in the doorway. She saw her mother and went completely still. Then she signed one word, "Mama?" Catherine rushed forward, and Marcus had to step back as mother and daughter reunited. Sophie was crying, Catherine was crying. Even David was tearing up from the hallway. When they finally separated, Catherine turned to Marcus. "I'm the CEO of Wells Medical Technologies. We manufacture adaptive equipment for disabled individuals. I want you to join my organization, head of our patient advocacy division. We need voices like yours, people who actually care." Marcus started to protest, but she held up her hand. "The salary is $200,000 a year, full benefits. David's college is covered. And more than that, you'll help create systems that prevent what happened to Sophie from happening to anyone else. You'll train staff, develop protocols, be the voice for kids who can't speak for themselves." She pulled out a business card. "Think about it. But Marcus, people like you are exactly who should be in positions of power. You didn't look away. In my experience, that's the rarest quality of all." That evening, Marcus and David sat on their worn couch, the business card on the coffee table between them. "You're going to take it, right?" David asked. "I don't know if I'm qualified," Marcus admitted. "Dad," David said, "you found a girl in a parking lot and changed her entire life. You took on a system that nobody wanted to fight. You did what was right when it cost you everything." "That sounds pretty qualified to me." Marcus thought about that, about how one choice on a Tuesday night had led to all of this, how seeing someone in need and refusing to look away had broken open a system of abuse and given one girl her life back. Sometimes the people who need us most are the ones society has forgotten. Sometimes the greatest courage is simply stopping when everyone else walks by. And sometimes, when we choose to be someone's hero, we discover that they've been saving us all along. If this story moved you, please give it a like and share it with someone who believes in standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Subscribe for more stories that remind us of our shared humanity. And comment below about a time when you chose to help even when it was hard. Your story might give someone else the courage to do the same.